So I'm Brad Rourke, President and CEO of Scottie Resources. We are an exploration company out of northwest British Columbia, a place called the Golden Triangle, very well known. Lots of recent activity up there, and this is our 8th season, and we just completed our 4th drill season, and the future looks bright. We've got a large land package, and we're lucky enough that our theories are working out. We're hitting good geology.
All right, Brad and I are going to take a drive here. How much of Scottie Resources do you own currently?
I think I own about just probably over 5% as it stands right now. But I like to point out, and I self-funded the company for the first 3 years, and I had 20% in 2019 before my first drill program. So I've been diluting myself down for a few years now.
Right.
But happily, I'd rather own a small percentage of something large than a large percent of something small. So that's comfortable with it. It's getting a little uncomfortable now, right? Because I'm aligned with my shareholders. Because again, ultimately, I'll make money if I can pull this across the line, of which we have all the confidence in the world that we will.
Are there any shareholders that own more than you in the company?
There is. Sure, I got to think about that for a second. So your man owns more than myself. There's one family in Zurich. They own 9.9%. Your man thing, and then there's a series of funds now that probably own 4 or 5% of the company, very close to where I'm at.
Okay, so you got to take root then.
It's true. If you look at financings of the last few years, very, very few places. So that means larger numbers. That can work against you if things, because big position holders can also sell big positions. But our strategy is this is really geologically driven, and the value's there, and I think our bigger shareholders can see it. So we just keep trying to. I had no institutions whatsoever in 2019, no corporates. Now we're well over 50%, easily over 50%.
When I look at a 1-year chart of the company, it looks very different than most exploration companies. So obviously you've added value.
Well, yes, I think we've been working hard and we've had success. But my chart's sideways. I mean, yes, we're up 30, but you're not in junior mining to go up 30%. That's not why people. So we're outperforming, I guess, for our weight class for a junior exploration company. But it seems sideways. It still seems tough. We put out news and we don't really. The whole idea is we test these theories. If they come out, we should reward it, and then hopefully we can raise that money at a higher price to continue. So, I think we're outperforming it, and we're really appreciative of that. But it doesn't seem like we're winning. It still seems pretty hard. Like it still hasn't turned on yet.
I understand. From a relative strength perspective against your peers, you're doing well, but that's not what you're in the game for.
No.
Okay, so what is the company's latest game plan right now for funding the next drill program here? Okay,
well, we believe a lot of the funding, everyone kind of knows I'm going to have to raise some money here in the near future. We've just been talking to our big partners because there's 7 of us that pretty much own 50% of the company. So we'll decide what we think the best course of action is. We believe it's not an issue. We have 50,000 meters I could drill this year. I'm targeting, and unfortunately, because of the cost of money are lower, it would really, really be detrimental to the current shareholders. So we got to find that balance.
So you can
and try and pick the right money. I do believe we can raise the money. Again, knock on wood, and I'm not trying to be too cavalier, but it's really about who you take that money from is more important than the money.
Yeah. So you can dilute, and I believe you have some optionality on the property, right?
I think nobody really gives credit to the extreme optionality we have. So things would be everything's talking about blueberry right now, and blueberry is our lowest hanging fruit. It's giving tremendous numbers. It's all skid-based drilling, so it's per meter for dollar I can get more meters. And it's a new discovery. But we don't talk about Domino much anymore. And we did a couple drill seasons on Domino. We've done a couple drill seasons at the Georgia River property. And those are as good as perhaps some of the flagship projects for other companies. And so we're certainly not shying away from those. And then in and around the Scottie gold mine. And because we have such a large land package, there's always the optionality of I could split this up. I'm not going to. The whole idea is if we build something big enough with the running room, we will attract, the largest of the larger, or even a single asset producer. I think that not only did, someone would buy us for the geology that we see, but we can also offer a generation of exploration potential. And with the consolidation efforts, so I've done over a dozen transactions. We started with 400 hectares. We're about 60,000 now, and 7 past producing mines on that tenure. But what's interesting is that land it's never been owned as one entity. I don't think people realize that. So it's the system that we own, where before, people have been running around the Golden Triangle for 100 years. It's just Patrick, this prospector has this little claim, and this person over here. So the fact that we consolidated this, I think, gives just a lot of potential. There's a lot more work to be done in the area.
Yeah.
So that's optionality. We have no royalties or streams on the Blueberry and Scottie gold mine. That gives us optionality where, I certainly, if it was part of our game plan, I could do a non-dilutive financing right now and maybe sell off 1% of the royalty. We deem that it's better to dilute if most of the shareholders just continue to come along, and we believe that's the case. Call it 50% of the next financing will just be with existing the same people. So you go, sure, the share count goes up, but everybody likes to maintain their position. We believe, let's do another 25,000 meters next season on Blueberry. What's that royalty worth? It's exponential.
Got it.
That's how we've worked it out. Maybe I'm wrong, but time will tell. So, but that gives me a little bit more strength that if the bankers get too aggressive, I go, well, I'll just, I can just
leverage.
I do. I do.
Leverage.
So yeah, thanks.
Bump the leverage.
Well, that's the theory. Ideas are ideas. It's until you implement them that you see. But I do believe we have a lot of different optionality, what we can do with the company. I could piece it off. I'm not saying I'm doing any of this, but people see that, I have more than 1 or 2 dance moves. Okay. So that, again, gives the shareholders.
Yeah, always good to go to the table with some moves.
That's right.
Or some bullets in the chamber, I would say.
Yeah.
So I know the Golden Triangle very well. I've been up there. I've done some site visits. Obviously, it's a very expensive place to drill before, the 1970s type of inflation. What's the company doing right now? What's your strategy to kind of hedge inflation and sort of, you can't really do anything about the price of food, but the drilling is super expensive up there. So what's your game plan heading off the company?
That's a great question, only because I love the answer I'm about to give you. So we did a bunch of things that people perhaps didn't agree with, and this would be 3-4 years ago. Scottie Resources bought a 16,000 square foot warehouse in the town of Stewart. We're an exploration company. You shouldn't be, buying capital assets, and I understood that argument, but, we own all our own trailers.
Hold on a second. When did you buy that? What year?
3 years ago.
3 years ago. So
3 years
before
ago.
the whole pandemic.
Yeah, right.
So this worked in your favor.
Yeah, well, and the reason is because it's remote, and understand, I've lived most of my life in the area. I'm one of the few CEOs who actually lived there, and maybe that's why the consolidation effort might have been easier, just because I know all the local people. But, if I use flow-through dollars, right, which is the cheapest amount of money, I can go rent trucks and that qualifies, and I can rent trailers and that qualifies. But when you look at the price of these things, I'm going, but I know I'm going to do 3 years here. It's more cost effective. So we bought our own trailers. We bought a warehouse. We process our own core, or we don't process it. But SGS has a mobile prep lab.
Yeah.
And so we've implemented this, and we've seen, even last season, our drill costs went down from the year before. Although my diesel was up 30%, my food's up, obviously the employees cost a little bit more. And we were using way less helicopters. There's a big factor.
You get killed up there with that.
But you don't get killed. You just have to know how to run a heli program. There's a lot more leakage if you don't know what you're doing. Right.
So I got to ask you a follow up here.
Yeah.
What percentage were you able to bring the drilling cost down? So were you over 400?
Almost 20% last season. I don't think we can replicate that because I need to add bench strength because Thomas and I, I can't work. Like Thomas is at maximum capacity. We've had such growth over the pandemic, but the internal team's really hard to bolster. So I see we're going to have to get a little bit of help, but yeah, we were down 20%. Again, a little bit helicopter work taken away off last year's programs, but we're pretty proud. Like under $350 a meter all in.
There is good.
Oh no, it's
I think companies are over 500 there.
Mostly,
Yeah, that's a lot.
No, and some are 800.
Yeah,
right. And you go up into the Yukon, and so it's very expensive. So at least per meter, and then if you look at gram meter, we're finding that's a metric I wish some analysts would. If you understand that we've been running on a shoestring budget forever.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything but we've got, roughly I've raised about $24 million in the history of the company. And we've drilled just a shy of just 40,000 meters. And that takes property acquisitions, all the other things that you have to do, the mapping and the LiDAR and all the geophysics, and we've done all that. So I think that's a metric that you just go, wow, the money's gone into the ground.
Yeah.
Very frugal with it. If I had an 80-cent handle or an 80-cent stock right now, we'd be doing 50,000 meters for sure. We would.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we have the targeting, and like I say, we got all these other zones that we need to go back to. Of course we are, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, let's talk about the recent results that you put out, the news that you put out over the last, say, 6 weeks to 8 weeks. What's your take on the results? Obviously, you're going to say you like them, but how much do you like them?
Well, every news release this season has a 100-gram meter hole in it. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
And why I like them, again, we've got bigger numbers. I think what people might be missing, or what we think is special, is that you look at the widths of some of these intercepts that we have at Blueberry, and it's not typical to what you see in the Golden Triangle. I mean, Golden Triangle is wonderful. Lots of high-grade, thinner veins. They call it 2 meters, 1.5 to 2 meter high grade. But if you look at Blueberry, we just indiscriminately just did a diamond pattern on that first 800 meters. And so we're not targeting anything. We just, basically went across, and the consistency where we're hitting. So we're probably 5-6 weeks away. We'll be able to put a 3D model out, because we still haven't released everything.
Yeah. That's good.
And then you start looking at it. I've seen obviously, the preliminary stuff out of the micro mine. And you go, ooh, I think people, you start visually seeing it, because as we drilled, we're hitting structure where we wanted to see this structure.
Yeah.
And it's all pretty rock, so you never know it runs. But then we're pleased that you see just across a wide berth, consistent high grade across the whole system there.
So, how much do you factor in macros of gold when you're strategizing for a potential financing? Are you just like, I don't care, market does whatever, I can't control it, Fed this, that, whatever? Do you even think about it, or no?
Well, I live and breathe and I think about it, but it does not affect what I do as a CEO. And this is really simplistic, but we're in the business of drilling holes. I go raise the money, I'll give the investors the theory. We think this is why it's good to drill. And we all can hope, and I could talk macroeconomics for 7 days, we'd run out of fuel. But so I think about it, I consume a lot of content. If anybody's consuming this, we probably watch a lot of the same channels. But the reality, I can't control the scoreboard. All I can control is the game.
Right.
I wish timing was different. One of the challenges with the Golden Triangle is, I've got to do 12 months worth of work in 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? And so I don't have control of timing. I go, okay, we can do the best we can. News comes out, we put her out. And again, it's just, and that's how I look at it. I got a scoreboard in my office, and I always look at that and go, I can't control that.
Yeah.
What I can control is what we do, and and I've been wrong when I first got involved in this, 2015, 16. I started thinking about it in 15. I was looking at the macro of gold, going, okay, hey, it's been 4 years, pretty bad. Gold's 1,000. I'm looking at central bank activities. I'm going, oh, okay, it's a good time. Well, here we are, years later. Everything that the reason for and the gold price is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with the gold price. There's just no sentiment and nobody cares.
That's right. Kind of a risk-off attitude too.
And so that really matters. And these things, I can't tell you when it's, crypto's gone away for a little bit. Central banks are continuing to buy gold. We have, the real big thing is when they took Russia off SWIFT, and then now you see there's going to be a big shift with, call it the BRICS plus nations, and how they start trading oil. And how that's going to, that is one of the bigger things, macro events happening in the world that I don't think we understand, because
not many people talk about that.
No, and it's probably the biggest thing in
because the U.S. dollar is pegged to the
correct, and the U.S. dollar is a reserve currency because it's the petrodollar, and they've that's shifting. So what does that mean? I don't know, but you hear all this, where they're going to peg, the digital yuan or the ruble, and they're going to trade oil for gold. And you hear all these things, and sure, but Basel III was going to change everything, 3 stages of that, and who knows? These are theories. I believe them, but everything in our head, that were headwinds are kind of gone, and the commodity price is doing just fine, but sentiment's just not there.
Some more on the macros at PDAC with Brad.
Yeah.
I get it. No, I can see you're passionate about that, which I understand. Most people in this game, follow that stuff, and why wouldn't you, right? Mm-hmm. But you nailed it, right? You can't control that stuff, and you got to put the drill in the ground and manage things. So, we've been doing this interview now about 18 minutes. Where would you like to leave this interview off currently?
Well, I think my job is to out there and be an ambassador to what we're doing. I think it's like people are missing it. We keep putting out news, and there's still more news to come. We're doing our job here. We're in no duress. We've no property payments. We survive as a company no matter what.
Yeah.
And
do you have debt? Do you have any debt on the balance sheet, or?
No. We have 2 small, and no junior exploration company has debt. Right. But again, if we talk correct, but a lot of companies have option payments for properties that could be. And so when I say debt, that just to be clear, because no company would truly have debt on a balance sheet. But no, I have no egregious payments. So I think I have 2 small payments for the independence claims. Very palatable. I can't remember, but they're insignificant. Mm-hmm. And we own this. It's paid for. We're doing awful lot of work. We expanded the program last year when everybody else was taking drills off, and
you lowered cost.
We did, and more importantly, and then we've been laying out the results there. I don't know. I can't help you if you can't see. People they're there. So we're doing our job. We appreciate the people that have been supporting us thus far, and I don't think we change anything. Like with the company again, I can only play the game. I can't. And when the crowd gets excited about the scoreboard, and then they'll determine, pricing for all these things. 'Cause right now it's all over. We could, you can't compare junior exploration companies because you got this guy with 50 million shares out, and it's market caps here, but you still can't sell it that. People just have to understand how the stock market works. Right, but we'll have price realization when the market determines, and we think when the analysts get all in, you start looking at Scottie. There's not a box that we don't check.
Right.
Right area, infrastructure.
I'm not here to sell the company, but
no.
As an investor, this morning I was looking at the chart, and like I said, I like it. I like that, and I know the Golden Triangle. So what? Typically, when do you start drilling? Is it April, May, as late as June? I know some companies don't even get up there till sometimes in August.
It's true. So the last couple of years have been pretty big snow loads. What's exciting is this year there's no snow. It's shocking how little snow there is compared to the last 3 years. So for blueberry, because again we have such tenure, I could drill down if we're in Cambria and my Bitter Creek properties, and we just don't have that on the docket for drilling. But we're out there mapping in April, May.
Okay.
But for the meat of what everybody's waiting for in Blueberry Scottie Gold Mine, the last 2 seasons it was July 1st that we started drilling.
Right. And then drill for what, maybe 8-10 weeks, maybe?
We can go right to the beginning of October.
Okay.
And it's budget related. Now, if you got two-door and you have Skeena,
Yeah.
they're the same weather system as I have. They just spend a lot more money. I could extend those seasons, but then it's the price of meters.
How many drills have you secured for this year?
Oh, I've got 6 that we have, but that's for a much bigger program than 20,000 meters.
Yeah.
We haven't made that final decision. I do believe we'll utilize 4.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
That's what you got in your sights right now?
Sure.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, I guess that would depend on your financing plan, which you haven't finalized yet. Can you sort of just tell our audience some of your past ventures and what you've done and some of your successes? You don't seem like the type of person that wants to brag about yourself, but I'm asking. So please enlighten us.
Well, I've been a pretty lucky guy, I suppose. Rewind. So I had my financial success because I've got family success is way better than that. I was married to the same woman, 3 children, and they all talk to dad, so that's good. But I was in the right place at the right time. I used to work in mining exploration services in the late 80s, early 90s, and then when mining stopped in 97 with the Windy Craggy decision, I went to Calgary, where I was born, back to Calgary. I didn't own a shiny pair of shoes, but 10 years later, I ran what would today be called an EMD, an exempt market dealer there, and I'm on the very front end of a company called Athabasca Oil Sands, which ended up being a $6 billion IPO, and then did a lot of real estate. But at that time, I thought we were really smart. We're in our 30s, and things were rolling. But now I look back and I go, wow, right place, right time.
You killed that one.
Right, and we were just lucky enough, that changed the, I still live off that money. And I can only do Scottie because of what's happened in the past. I was actually happily retired in Smithers. This is how I got aware of this project and got involved. But I was just an investor trying to help out some locals. And
yeah, you're passionate about this.
It's a project I want, yeah, it's more reputation. I think I don't have the fear that this fails anymore. There's obviously something here. It's just a matter of, we don't want to sell at the bottom, but
yeah,
we're fine here. But yeah, no, I want the tombstone or the credibility. I want to put a W up on the board, especially in this crazy business. I mean, real estate's a lot easier. You have balance sheets. You can see numbers. You can talk. Energy business. You don't lose all your money if you drill oil wells. This thing, oh my gosh, it could just be all gone. So it's it's been quite an education, and certainly challenging. I'm lucky enough that I didn't make my living off Scottie, so that probably affords me a different outlook than perhaps some other people. But it's a tough business. I can tell you this is tougher than anything I've ever done.
Well, as a potential new shareholder, I like your background.
Thank you.
And obviously, if you ran an EMD, you know how to raise money.
Yeah.
You know how to talk to people. You're super articulate, got a lot of charisma. You know how to save money on the drill. This is a good story. I think this is a fantastic interview. Hopefully, I've dug in a little bit and we can create some a new audience for you.
Well,
and we'll follow up around PDAC and see if you got any more news out.
Sure, we'll have we have Core Shack at PDAC as we do here. So we're also got the rocks for people to look at and have a full team there. So we encourage everybody to come on down and have a look at the rocks at least, and appreciate your time and giving me the opportunity to again tell that's my job and make sure people are aware that there's a company called Scottie Resources and there's a lot of value there to unlock. There really is. So
PDAC's coming up. That's in my backyard. I do hope to have another interview with you.
Sure.
And maybe I can set aside some more time depending on what happens with the Fed, and we can talk macroeconomics. And our audience is super interested in that. I'll shake your hand again and say thank you very much.
No, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. We'll see you again. This was fun. Something different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Take care, guys.